You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? If there is one thing Nicolas Cage does well, it's being creepy. And he was right in his wheelhouse in Longlegs. Amber and Scott discuss what they would do if a satanic stranger turned their life upside down. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
You find yourself in the unique position. What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
What would you do?
How do you want to handle this?
What would you do? Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Hey, so this week we are talking about Longlegs, and although that might sound like a movie about a supermodel, it is definitely not.
There were definitely no supermodels in this movie.
Supermodels not included. So Longlegs, in pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his horrifying, terrifying killing spree.
You know what? It was good to see the real Nicolas Cage for once.
Yes, Nicolas Cage was Longlegs, the crazy psycho killer. But as we learn at the end of the movie, he is more the orchestrator of the killing and not the killer per se. Again, spoilers, folks. If you care about seeing Longlegs, please go and see it and then come back to us when you're done.
Yeah. And somehow he flipped the FBI agent's mom to...
Yeah, to be his accomplice and weapon of mass destruction, so to speak.
Yeah, though I'm still not completely understanding like what's going on here without delving into the realm of the supernatural.
Well, he was definitely into the occult and a Satan worshiper and was a doll maker who somehow weaved the devil into dolls.
Yeah, like I said, I can't really explain everything that happened without bringing the occult into this.
Yeah, it was definitely foundational to this film. And so obviously the what would you do part is I'm not going to go as what would I do if I was a serial killer and how would I handle that.
Well, maybe.
But maybe more of the FBI agent whose mother turned out to be the accomplice to Longlegs.
Sure, let's start early. What would you do if you were with your partner, you told your partner, hey, let's check out this house. Your partner was like, okay, sure, whatever. You think you have a hunch, no big deal. And he goes up and he gets shot in the freaking head. What she would do...
What are you talking about?
Early on in the movie, when they were checking out the one house, and her partner kind of blew her off as her hunch. She's like, we need to call this in and get people down here.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And he's like, no, we're fine.
Okay, so yes, there was two FBI agents, and the main character, she had somewhat of psychic abilities, and she thought the serial killer, not Longlegs, but just a case that they were working on at the moment, was in a certain house, and the guy kind of blew her off of, yeah, you couldn't possibly know that. I'll go check it out, silly woman. You stay here, and I'll handle this. And he went to the door and promptly had his head blown off by a serial killer.
I'm not sure that wasn't related. I think it was.
Well, there was. I don't think so, because there was a guy sitting in there with his arms who was apprehended. I think that was just showcasing the work that they do.
Either way.
When you were talking, I thought you were talking about a couple. You were saying partner, and I was thinking you meant romantic partner, and they were house hunting or something. I don't remember house hunting.
Especially after my partner's been shot in the head.
Your FBI partner, yes.
Yes, the same partner I've been referring to the whole time. I'm not going in without backup. Like, you wanted backup when there was two of you. Now there's one of you. You want less backup now? No, I'm gonna hang back. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna try to make sure nothing happens with this guy on the outside while other people come as well. I just thought that was stupid.
Okay, noted.
Like, I would not rush into a building where I know my partner had just been shot.
In fairness, he had been shot outside the front door, so the inside of the house, who knows?
Yeah, that guy was inside the house, so.
Yeah. So the movie basically takes us down a route where we discover that the main character, Lee, who is the female FBI agent, and I'm only saying female because her name is Lee, and I want everyone to know who we're talking about. So anyway, Lee, when she's a young girl, has a visitor to her property, a creepy, weird guy, Nicolas Cage, done up in some weird makeup and
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. That's not what he looks like.
That wasn't the real Nicolas Cage?
So it's this visit that she doesn't really remember that sets the path for Lee and her mom, who ends up being the accomplice, for years into the future. And I gotta say, if I lived in a farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere and some creepy weirdo comes up to me and I'm a little girl, I'm screaming my head off, first of all.
Yeah, that dude was just straight creepy. There's no part about him that wasn't creepy.
And although not in the woods, this house being in a vacant area kind of feeds into what I say in most of these films of just when you're off the beaten path where there's no one else around, scary things happen.
In movies, at least.
Yeah. So he has this encounter with them and basically from that point forward uses the mom as his accomplice to murder entire families. And Lee is unaware and blocks it out or something. We're not exactly sure here, but she doesn't remember any of it. And she ultimately becomes an FBI agent, which Longlegs laughs about because her mom is actually murdering people and helping Longlegs do his satanic work.
Yeah, there's just a lot of pieces here that just don't connect for me on this one, and it's hard for me to do a what would you do when some of these pieces, because it's clear that the mom was at least seemingly a God-fearing woman, but near the end you hear her say "Hail Satan." Like, it didn't appear like she was under a trance or anything. Like, she was doing this of her own free will, but
well, I don't know if she was doing it of her own free will. Basically, she made a deal saying, leave my daughter alone, keep her safe, and I will do this work for you. And that's why she did it for all the years, is to protect her daughter, Lee. I guess, if we're looking at a what would you do is, there's so many nuances to this film here that I agree with you. They're so far out of the realm of reality. But what would you do if you were an FBI agent who was tracking down a serial killer?
I would track them down.
What if there was...
I wonder if that was a true question.
Well, there's obviously some weird satanical foundation to this particular case, and there's actually some math involved, and you're really good at math. So do you want to talk a little bit about the math that Secret Agent Lee...
Yeah, I kept thinking throughout the whole movie that basically being an FBI agent doing stuff like this has got to basically be like one giant escape room, only if you win by apprehending and not escaping.
Yeah. So do you want to explain to folks what that means in regards to the math and the puzzle?
I mean, it was cryptographs that he had put out there, and
Longlegs.
Yeah, and a bunch of them, and no one could actually get them solved. But Lee came in, and she was able to. Using her psychic abilities. I mean, is it psychic abilities, or was it something that she knew subconsciously that had been implanted by Longlegs at one point? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, I was talking more specifically about the math. So this revolved around all the families had a daughter whose birthday was on the 14th of a specific month.
Oh, yeah.
It could be any month. And so she charted all of the killings and found out that all of the murders of the families had happened either 6 days prior to the 14th or 6 days after the 14th. And then after charting all of that, she realized it created basically a triangle of evil.
Yeah, an upside down triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he was starting basically... because only one of them was on the 14th, because that triangle needs a point. And then you basically have one that's 13 and 15, one that's 12 and 16, one that's 11 and 17, and doing that out until it makes a triangle. But they were missing the 13th. They couldn't figure out the 13th. Well, the 13th was the one at the end.
And I think something else that we can explore as a what would you do is if you're a parent, and not a parent, but a parent, and your child is in danger, what lengths will you go to protect that child? And in this case, the mom, she turned into a serial killer implementing Longlegs' agenda to kill families.
You see, again, this is where it doesn't make complete sense to me because, sure, listen, when you're in the bargaining stage, like he's there, he's going to kill your daughter, you're willing to say and do pretty much whatever at that point. But, after he's not there anymore, then you're like, maybe we should go to the police and find a way of getting ourselves safe instead of, becoming a serial murderer helping him. That just feels that feels a slightly more socially responsible thing to do.
Yeah, I can understand that. That makes a lot of sense. But back to the question. What lengths would you do or would you go to keep your child safe?
Yes. I mean, really, yes. I mean, it's interesting because I know my mom listens to these and she's probably got some thoughts on this right now. And obviously neither one of us are parents. So it's a little more difficult for us to truly put ourselves in that position because I have heard from countless people that you truly don't know until you're there. But from everything I can gather, there is no stop. Like if you're protecting your child, now protecting them from others, not themselves, and that's kind of a different
thing.
That's a different, like if they kill somebody, then you don't go to all lengths to cover it up. Then they're just effed and they can go. But if they're
Some do.
well, and those that says something about those people. But for the most part, if your child's being hunted and you have some power to stop that, you're going to stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, and an additional layer of creepiness is the mom, when she went to the families and put everything into play for them to all die, she actually dressed up as a nun.
Yeah. This movie was creepy.
Yeah, it really was. Everything about it was just Nicolas Cage's character. Sometimes he'd sing and he'd jump and he'd laugh, and it was. I mean,
it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but it was like a creepy Silence of the Lambs, which is a little creepy to begin with.
Yeah, so, I agree. So I think my takeaway here is, number one, don't worship the devil.
Yeah, no, that seems like a good thing to avoid.
Number two, don't be a serial killer.
Yeah, I can go with that one as well.
And number three, don't associate with a serial killer because you become the company you keep. So let's just stay clear of serial killers.
You know what? I think that's words we can all live by.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.